കൊതിച്ചു നിൽക്കാതെ വരൂ മോണോ ലൗഞ്ച് ആൻഡ് റെസ്റ്റോറന്റിലേക്ക്. സൗത്ത് ഇന്ത്യൻ, ചൈനീസ്, ഗ്രിൽ തുടങ്ങിയ വ്യത്യസ്ത രുചിഭേദങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ആസ്വദിക്കാം ഫാമിലി ഫസ്റ്റ് ക്ലാസ് റെസ്റ്റോറന്റായ മോണോയിൽ നിന്നും. കൂടാതെ പാർട്ടി ഹാൾ, പ്രൈവറ്റ് പാർക്കിംഗ്, ലൈസൻസ്, ഷീഷ, ലൈവ് മ്യൂസിക് എന്നിവയും ലഭ്യമാണ്. മോണോ ലൗഞ്ച് ആൻഡ് റെസ്റ്റോറന്റ് ആഫ്റ്റർ സിയാം ഗാരേജ്, ലുലു.
A young and vibrant architect hailing from a rich family legacy in Bahrain, who's made a mark of his own in the business arena of the kingdom. Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai, Executive Director, Dadabhai Construction and Chief Executive, Tutory. At 24, Mohammed is a practicing architect in Bahrain with a LEED certification, a globally recognized symbol of sustainable achievement in leadership, and a CRPEP license. Through his studies at the University of Southern California, he gained a bachelor's in architecture and a master's in building science and sustainability, which includes an extended 3-month exchange program at the Harvard University. He has also accomplished several architectural successes, such as winning the Social Justice and Equality Prize for his COVID Center modular design in Los Angeles, winning an architecture competition that sent him to South Korea for a month, and a regenerative facade design in the University of Delft, Amsterdam. All this, achieved in a friendly and ambitious manner, has put Mohammed on the map as one of the top young architects in the kingdom. Friendly and passionate about furthering technology and sustainability in the region, Mohammed recently made a breakthrough in concrete CO2 reduction, having his graduate dissertation at Net Zero Carbon Concrete published by ProQuest, one of the largest publication firms. As an architect and director of Dadabhai Construction, Dadabhai Interior, Dadabhai Maintenance and Alusol, Mohammed has gone a step forward, creating a digital tutoring services, Tutory, to provide students around the world with an opportunity to make extra money. To improve his business practices, he has invested in a number of construction software such as Revit, Cubicost and ERP, and is an avid believer of technological reform. Joining us on Biztalk from BMC Global Life, a show which features success stories of business leaders. It is a young leader at the Dadabhai Construction, Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai. Dadabhai, a renowned name in the kingdom's business landscape. BMC Global Life has had the honor to host the leaders of this conglomerate, including the founding chairman, the very respected Mohammed Dadabhai. And it's with immense pleasure that I introduce the guests for this evening on Biztalk from BMC Global Life, the veteran's grandson, the young architect, Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai. Good evening, Mohammed. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Raji. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. It's indeed an honor to have you with us on Biztalk, a show which features successful business leaders. And as I said, it's with great honor that I host you this evening because Mr. Dadabhai, a man whom I really respect a lot and a father figure to many of us in the kingdom, a veteran businessman, has been here when I started the show way back in 2020. And then I've had your senior executives like Mr. Arun Prahraj, the CEO, Ajit Kumar, the Chief Executive of the Dadabhai Construction, and your dear aunt, Batul Dadabhai, And now here you are, the third generation. So it's really happy to have you with us. It's got a personal touch, you know.
Thank you. No, I'm great. I mean, all the names you mentioned are people I look up to personally, and especially Mr. Ajit, my grandfather, dealing with them on a day-to-day basis in construction. They're two people you can learn from a lot. My aunt too, she's the more political member of our family, so speaking to her also about like day-to-day news in Bahrain, sometimes you don't need to read the newspaper, I can just speak to her and get everything I need.
Yeah, okay. So this evening, let's hear more from you, the third generation of a legacy, a business legacy that Dadabhai is. Let me ask you this first question. Have you ever felt this burden of these veterans, the titans, the icons above you, your father, your grandfather, your aunt? Have you ever felt that burden on you as a bigger responsibility to prove yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely like there's a high expectation.
Yes.
I'm sure for any person joining a family business would agree. And I think thank God my dad and grandfather and other family members have set the bar pretty high, which I'm really proud of. And so growing up, there was that pressure to meet, I guess, their expectation. But the pressure is good. Like my family always told me that the pressure makes diamonds. So I just took that mindset and went on with it. And I fell in love with what I did, just seeing how my grandfather and dad used their approach to business. I was constantly around construction sites, engineers, architects, and the whole conversations happening at home. So you get sometimes subconsciously into it, you know, and it's why I chose architecture to do. I thought it combined my interest of design and art with engineering and building, and it's a good, I guess, middle ground, and it's very interdisciplinary also, so it matches what I love.
Right. So you were into family business, you were ready for it, it was no surprise for you?
Not really, no. I was lucky to have been given the option, but it's a really good opportunity, and it coincidentally happened to be something I love doing too, and so I guess I couldn't let that opportunity down.
All right. And you happen to be one of my youngest guests as well, you know, and at a very young age of 24, you are a certified, LEED certified architect and also a licensed engineering professional, and with a solid amount of education and expertise from renowned universities. So being a youngster into this field, how do you see the scenario different? Of course, you learn from the seniors in your office, the veterans in the family, etc., but how are you looking at it from your generation or the Generation Z point of view?
Right, it's a good point, especially with businesses.
Things are changing, isn't it?
Yeah, things are changing, and especially in businesses that have been established for such a long time, it's really hard to penetrate the system, especially coming in with new ideas and new, educational techniques and I guess motives. But I tried to not get too excited with myself and not to impose a lot of what I'd learned, and pick up a lot on the principles that the elder people in our company had.
The foundation.
The foundation of it. And so I try to give a bit of both, and you always have to convince with reason, right? A lot of the education I had came from very technical background, so it was more or less the same thing that they were doing, but just in a more technological advanced way. And so it made sense to them also. I mean, I remember when my dad first came in, he was the first one to introduce AutoCAD in the office, whereas the old architects and draftsmen would be drafting everything by hand. And to them, the idea of doing it on a computer was absurd. Computer-aided design was very new at that time. And so it's I guess, ironic, 30 years later, and I'm now introducing new softwares for them to learn. And it's helped a lot of the guys in our department. They've gotten to do things a lot faster, so it streamlines a lot of the processes we do. And I guess that's where like education gets its credibility, is when you can actually prove that it can help you.
Right. And was architecture your passion? Was it your field? Did you choose it?
I always loved art and design, and it's a very broad subject to love, because I mean, you can like look at a table and say this is a certain design, or you can a water bottle. It all has some sort of aesthetic feature to it, but I never really honed down on one specific aspect of design that I liked until I realized that, yeah, buildings are something that it's maybe the biggest structure you can design, and there's lots of technicalities into it. And once I started to do architecture, I realized how you could really like simplify the design concepts in a building to a couple of rules. Like, for example, architecture teaches us that you need to use the basement space. You need to have long spanning windows to maximize sunlight. You need to have roof gardens. You need to have open plans. So certain rules that are given to you, like in architecture theory, makes designing buildings a lot of fun. It's like a rule book that you kind of follow when you design.
Yeah, I could see that even when I was going through your resume. You have a passion for this sustainability. I think you're doing something recently as well. I was wanting to ask you about, you just mentioned the roof garden and sunlight and things like that. We're going closer to nature. It's the need of the hour, isn't it? We are forced to go back to nature. And the new generation is, I think, pretty well informed about this need. What is, in your opinion, like how can you, or how will you tailor your profession and your engagements with this world of construction to make future sustainable cities or nations? What is, in your opinion? Tell us about it, please.
It's interesting actually, because the idea of like the urban fabric, let's say 100 years ago or 150 years ago, was very intertwined with nature. I mean, you would see like forests and greenery all around the city. And then maybe when we reached the 60s and 70s, when modernism started to come and the industrial era really started to pick its pace up, that's when concrete structures started to become a lot more prominent. And so cities would cut down on forests and greeneries and just have these concrete landscapes of just buildings and infrastructure, and cities started to get more polluted, air quality started to decrease, roads and cities started to become more car-centric instead of human-centric. So pedestrian circulation all around cities became very poor. I mean, if you just look at like Bahrain, for example, you can't walk across the street without having to go maybe 500 meters around the block. And so I feel sustainable design nowadays takes a lot of concepts from the past, making cities more walkable, making air quality better, improving the, I would say, lifespan of a building. So in LEED, for example, they teach us that buildings should be designed to last forever. A building should not be 50 years old or 100 years old, because that whole demolition process of a building is very detrimental to the environment too. And so if you have a structure that's permanent, that's the best building you can. That's a building with strong bones, with a good foundation, that can last forever. And so ideally you want to design buildings that way. And your cities too. I mean, cities need to be more pedestrian friendly. We should take away the roads from cars and give it back to the people. You know, we're the ones who are supposed to be walking freely on the streets, as opposed to having highway expansions or road expansions. There should be more pedestrian lanes for cyclists and people to walk. That's what I think.
Great. That is the very young Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai with us on Biztalk from BMC Global Live. Let's take a short break.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahala. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
Welcome back to Biztalk from BMC Global Live, a show which features success stories of business leaders. And with me tonight is Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai. Mohammed, at the age of 24, you hold a position of executive director and also the chief executive of something, the second...
Tutory.
Tutory.
Yeah.
We'll come to Tutory later. But Dadabhai Construction is a known name under the umbrella of the conglomerate. And the executive director is a big position, isn't it? What is your role and how do you look at the job profile of yours? Did you think of holding this post at this young age 5 years ago?
Frankly, no, I didn't. Maybe not so soon, but I worked really hard, honestly, for it. I would come back in summers and winters whenever I would finish from college, and the first place I would go to is the office. And even while I was doing my master's, I was always in touch with people from the office. So I think right now it's been almost 2 years since I've been on the in construction. Spent nearly 5 months on the site, and so I got the full tour of how a construction industry operates. And to be honest, I like stopped doing architecture for a while. Like I studied it and I enjoyed it, but as soon as I joined construction, I had to really like put it to the side and focus on procurement, on bill of quantity generation, on simulation, on drafting contracts, reading contracts. And that's the interesting thing about construction actually, is that it combines so many different fields. Like you have to be an accountant, you have to be a scientist, you have to be an engineer and a businessman and a sales officer, and
Different hats.
so many different hats that you put on, which is, it's fun because you get to learn a bit of everything and you have to be like the jack of all trades.
Right. So you're not really surprised to be holding these positions. What do you say?
Yeah, it's right now I don't really like think about it that much, but because I've been really I would say involved in so many of the other departments, with our MEP division, with our maintenance division, with our interior division, and construction, of course. It's not easy really to like you know, divert your attention from so many different departments. And so I guess an executive director's role is an active role as opposed to a director or a board member or a managing director. And so it's good. I mean, I have the energy, I'm young, and I'm hungry, you know, I have the appetite for it. So I think I like doing it.
That's a very positive way to look at things. And tell us about Tutory.
So, Tutory is my latest endeavor, and just to give you a little backstory, it's so me and a couple of my best high school friends were in a parking lot one day. I just come back from the US at that time for my winter vacation, and we just sat there for maybe 11 o'clock at night up till 5 o'clock in the morning, just talking about our future plans, what we want to do. And we all said how we wanted to come up with something of our own. We were just very comfortable with one another, and so it just made sense to open a business together.
Okay.
And so in that parking lot, just the four of us drafted our whole business plan and business model.
Interesting.
And that was the birth, I guess, of Tutory. So Tutory is one app under AMDM Software and Publishing, which is our software and publishing company that we have. So we do social media marketing. I do the graphic design of a lot of social media posts. So we manage profiles. We do 3D animation. We do video ads, amongst other things. We do development for apps. We come up with concept plans, pseudo plans. We help consult on the UI UX of different apps. And Tutory is our first in-house app that we've made under AMDM Software and Publishing.
So it's basically an app.
It's an app, yeah. So we have a web portal and app portal for it. And what it is, it's a SaaS-based model. So it's a tutoring service where anybody who gets qualified on a certain subject, whether it's math or English or architecture even, or engineering, can tutor students internationally. And so we're trying to integrate AI into this and give opportunities for college students or high school students who want to make an extra side income by tutoring, and for a lot of college students and high school students similarly who need tutoring services. So we're kind of creating this platform for tutors and students to interact, and we just come in the middle. We bridge kind of both of them, and that's how we make our cut from it.
Interesting. How old is this company? When did you start this?
We started AMDM January 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
So it's almost 1 year.
It's almost 1 year.
Okay.
Tutory is
More than 1 year, yeah.
a little over a year. Tutory is still in its beta and development phase, and so it's there is the app currently there physically, but we haven't released it in like the stores yet, because we're just handing it out to people to
I was about to
test.
ask you. Okay, so how can anyone access it?
We have a beta model, and the link is on our Instagram. You can follow us on Tutory, Tutory. It's our Instagram, and you can test it out over there and see how it feels. I mean, we're not releasing it publicly at the moment, but we are hoping to release it in 2 months' time.
Right, interesting. Coming back to your engagement with the actual job, the Dadabhai group and Bahrain. I know you're young, not too old to be asking this question, but at the same time, as the youngster, as a third generation in a family business, how do you look at the business climate in Bahrain during COVID, post-COVID? How do you look at the way forward for the construction industry, especially that in which you are on board?
That's a great topic. I wish this was like a 3-hour interview so we could cover it all, but it's very relevant actually. Bahrain, I love Bahrain. It's I think especially after living outside of it and living and seeing India, seeing China, different places, you realize that how much of a blessing it is. I mean, living in Los Angeles for 6 years, for example, I've seen the worst housing crisis in the world, actually. Like per density, downtown Los Angeles has the worst housing crisis. So we live in a country where you're guaranteed a house. You don't have homeless people on the streets. You have subsidized healthcare, subsidized electricity and water, food, gas. So it's really something we're lucky to be living in. And even for expats, I mean, it's very expat friendly. Our labor authority is very lenient and very pro-labor. So it's good in that sense. And Bahrain was on a really good track, to be honest. It was in 2008, right before the financial crisis. It was the banking hub of the Middle East. So over Dubai, over Saudi, it was one of the best, actually. And I mean, it's had a rough patch. The last 10 years for it was, I would say, very up and down. And the construction market definitely got hit very bad. I mean, apart from the financial crisis that was there, you had drop in oil prices, and so that's when we had the VAT introduced, and so our whole costing for construction changed. Now we had another element that we had to take into consideration, another 5%, another 10%, and then COVID came, so logistic prices increased. When we had to ship and procure material from overseas, that became more expensive. Prices of concrete went up from 270 dinars per ton to nearly 400 dinars. Concrete went up, copper, everything, timber, asphalt, and I guess that was the biggest blow for us, is that when you have rates that you are stuck with for a certain amount of years, and then that's how you budget your project. Like, you know that based on these rates, this is how much you'll tender for a project, and then there's a huge spike in those material prices. Then that affects your margins. It affects how the whole model for how you tender for prices anymore. And I was just speaking to somebody from the urban planning department today, and saying that they should really introduce cost escalation clauses in contracts, where I think in India they have something in construction where if a certain material X% within a year's time, you are actually compensated for that within your contract.
Okay.
So within maybe like a 10% margin, you're compensated for it, because it's normal. I mean, nobody really expected COVID to come, and then you saw a huge escalation in prices. So maybe this should be something mandatory in construction contracts. A safe, yeah, exactly.
Right. Good insight into things for your age. I'm very impressed. And Mohammed, how do you look at the next 5 years in your life?
So I'm really glad Bahrain has been pushing for sustainability. I think that's where the whole construction industry is headed. I mean, they've said net zero by 2060, which personally I think is a bit far-fetched, but I'm
a very ambitious goal.
Yeah, it's ambitious.
Let's be optimistic.
Yeah, let's be optimistic for it. But it's good. I mean, we've had so many initiatives from the government to support sustainability. A lot of LEED buildings coming up in Bahrain, which is exciting for me. I mean, I'm LEED certified, so I know the whole what it takes to actually get a building LEED certified. I know the future generations Bahrain building that's coming up in Bahrain Bay, that's LEED certified. You have the Westin and a couple of other buildings. So I mean, that's good. Maybe one suggestion I could make is that maybe give tax cuts to the LEED certified buildings. The more sustainable your building,
an incentive, right?
There should be an incentive, exactly. Whether it's monetary incentives, or maybe you can get Bahrainization or more visas. Something should be there to, I guess, motivate people to create more sustainable buildings.
Right. I think that is the need. That is the need. And as you said, it might be a little far-fetched, but then we have to start at least now towards that goal of the vision. And let's hope to be there soon, because that is the need. With me tonight is Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai on Biztalk from BMC Global Life. Let's take a short break.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahla. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
Welcome back to Biztalk from BMC Global Live, and with me tonight is the Executive Director of Dadabhai Construction, Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai. Mohammed, take us through your bit of your family. Of course, we know the family, but then about your interests, about your hobbies. Who are you so close to with in your family? Is it your father, grandfather, grandmother? Because I know the family is very close-knit, isn't it?
It is.
So
It's interesting. Like, I mean, I'm sure you know, like, our family dynamic. My mom is Arab and my dad is also Bahraini, but originally Indian. So it's nice that we have like a foot here and a foot there. And I honestly got both upbringings, and it was nice. Like, I got to experience a multicultural upbringing in my family. And but who am I most closest to? Like, if you ask anybody, they'll say I'm a carbon copy of my grandfather.
Okay.
Just even the way he was when he was my age. I mean, I've never like asked him, but that's what people say. So I'm really close to him actually. I'm his namesake also, and
Yes.
you know the way like it works is that you name the oldest grandson by the grandfather. So in that sense, like he also, like I feel like he has a soft spot for me.
Okay.
I've never used that card yet, but if he's watching, then one day I will.
Interesting. And you have a brother, right?
I do, yeah.
What is his name? What does he do?
Salman's my brother. He's also in construction now. We're both very close in age and relationship-wise. I guess the age also made us closer.
Close, yeah.
So Salman is in construction too. He was initially handling our restaurant divisions, which was cuisine crafts. And so I kind of pulled him saying like, listen, like I need a bit of help here. And he's joined construction now. So Salman's more in charge of our brand development and PR, so more on our commercial side, whereas I handle more of the technical side of construction.
Right. Tell me your one day. How does it go? How busy are you, and what is your routine like?
My routine, well, I try to wake up the earliest, so
Which is?
around 7:38,
Okay, decent time, yeah.
and you know, as a guy, like it takes me like 20 minutes to get ready and out.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah, I'm out of the house by like 8:20 tops, and try to reach the office by 8:35. Like I'm a very fast driver, so
Okay.
it makes it even better. But it's nice, like I guess that's how, when everybody starts in the office. So I like to kind of set an example that like I'm coming in the same time as everyone else too. I would I really like I have an office in our office, but I never sit in it. Frankly, I've never sat in it in my life actually.
Okay.
I sit in the architecture studio. That way I'm close to all the architects and engineers. I can take a look at what they're doing, and we ask questions back and forth. And I mean, that's how construction companies should be. I mean, in architecture school, you're always working together. And I myself, although having so many responsibilities, I mean, I do the modeling and computer modeling for the buildings myself. So I like to be very hands-on in it. And so I'll spend a bit of my day doing that. I like to meet our different departments, check up on their KPIs, see what the day-to-day activities and operations are. I guess signing checks is like my least favorite part of the day because I'm not talking to somebody. So I really enjoy like the interaction. I love learning also, so I will like ask a lot of questions. And I think like people who like my team, they like that I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to also teach whatever I know too.
All right. What's your favorite pastime? Do you have a hobby?
I love cars, honestly.
Okay.
Like I love it with a passion. I feel like I've always.
So I'm sure you were at the Formula One.
I was, yeah. Cars actually make me feel alive, and architecture is what I live for. So, and I kind of see like so many similarities in between both. Like both need very strong foundations, a good design, a good occupier and the driving seat to, take it away. And it's cars have its own architecture within itself. I mean, the way a whole engine assembly works is like a orchestra coming together. You need
Beautiful.
each and every single component to work harmoniously. Otherwise, the car won't start. And it's like a building too. I mean, you have your HVAC system working with your firefighting system, with your ELV cables, with your occupants at the same time, and your structural elements all kind of working in the same manner. And if one element fails, then it's detrimental to the whole building too.
How was the Formula One this year?
Formula One was good. So I haven't been in the last 6 years because I was out studying. And so it would always happen whenever I'd be out of Bahrain. And so for me, it was like I was so used to seeing the Formula One on a screen, and I enjoyed it so much less just watching it from just one view this time from the stand. So when you're watching it on like a screen, you get like different angles and like the top view and the driver's side. But then like when you're seeing it just on a very static place, then you're just limited to what you can see. But it was fun. I mean,
what would be one moment which you would capture back from the 3 days that you were there?
I was with my grandfather, so that was nice. I mean, the Formula One is like, as much as it is about the race, also it's a huge networking event in Bahrain.
Yes.
Arguably one of the biggest events that happen here, and so it's a very good chance to like introduce yourself to people, to talk and get to see people in the market. You network, you mingle, and I got a lot of opportunities to spend time with who my grandfather spends time with. And so he introduced me to lots of people he knew, and vice versa too. I mean, I would run into people and introduce my grandfather to them. And so it was a good bonding experience for both of us. I can't remember the last time we spent 3 days together.
Yeah, okay. So Mohammed, as we come to the close of this evening, tell us, what is your goal? Do you have a life goal? Do you have a dream project? Is there something like that in your mind?
I would really like to play a part in Bahrain's sustainability drive, whether it's being through building simulation or building design, bringing construction technologies and building technologies that are sustainable into practice. I think it's important, not only as a duty being a Bahraini citizen, but as a global citizen too.
Indeed.
I mean, I guess our global warming issue is something that we all share. I mean, we all live in this world, and you have skeptics who would argue how serious the issue is, but I mean, there's signs like weather change and ozone depletion. All of these are just facts that are there. It's scientific basis that you can't argue with. So, and I'm glad Bahrain have started to support it. It's very important. I mean, me living outside Bahrain, this was something that was being done years before, and I really wish Bahrain started it earlier so that we would have the upper hand in it. But I mean, it's never too late, and it's better late than never, you know.
Yeah. And one last question, maybe, Mohammed. You are a businessman, you are an engineer, you're an architect, and you're also an entrepreneur, isn't it? So there would be many out there who would want to hear that one tip from you when you wear different hats, especially entrepreneurs. We have many youngsters wanting to do their own dreams, turning their dreams into reality. What would be your one tip to the youngsters out there as an entrepreneur and a combination of all the other that you are, the businessman or the engineer?
I think I would have three. First is consistency. It's very important. I mean, being consistent with something as opposed to leaving it halfway through shows how dedicated you are to something, whether that's even just coming to work on time every single day or waking up at a certain time. Be consistent with it. It shows to people like that you are really willing to do your part. Secondly, I would say time management is very important. Like how procrastination, sometimes nowadays we have so many distractions at work.
Yes.
It takes an average person 20 minutes to get back to the task they're doing if they just check their phone.
Very true.
So you have to just be aware of distractions and manage your time well. I mean, you set your tasks according to what you have to do per day and use that as a reward system for you to be consistently meeting it. I think that's really important. It's something I think most businessmen would agree with. And that's where you see like linear progress in your achievements. You know that, okay, today you've finished your day achieving XYZ tasks. And I think thirdly, what I would say is that people management skills, I mean, that's what business is all about in the end of the day. I mean, I'm sure in your line of work as well too, like just being able to communicate with people is such an important skill to have.
Definitely.
And I think like people with this generation sometimes lack that, you know, like people don't socialize like they do before. I mean, social media and like digital communication has become such a norm that you forget verbal communication skills, which is essential when you like deal with businesses. I mean, any businessman can tell you that you have to speak to at least 20 people per day. And it's a lot about how persuasive you are and how you communicate your thoughts to them. And sometimes that makes a difference between a good businessman and a bad one.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. That was
Thank
a very
you.
interesting conversation. Team BMC is indeed indebted to you for this wonderful evening. Can I have your wrapping comments, please?
Thank you, Raji. Thank you. I mean, Thank you for having us. I want to also congratulate you on your book. Next time I can do the interview for you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Very sweet of you.
And very glad to be here and to have this opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was the young architect at the Dadabhai Group, Mohammed Shabeer Dadabhai, on this episode of Biztalk from BMC Global Life. Until we meet next week with yet another guest, this is Rajiv Unikrishnan signing off. Good night.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahala. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the
Thank you, Mohammed, for joining us. We have a small token of appreciation in response. I call upon Mr. Francis Kaidar, the Chairman and Managing Director of BSA, to hand over the...
Francis, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Just small token of appreciation.
Thank you. This is an amazing gesture. Thank you.